Prime Minister Philip Davis presented the 2023-2024 budget to Parliament Wednesday, reflecting economic stability and advancement. Following the economic hurdles of the last 3 years, impressive revenue numbers now rival pre-pandemic performance.
Total revenue amounted to $2.1 billion for the first 9 months of the fiscal year 2022-2023. This represents an increase of $267.2 million, or 14.5% when compared to the previous year.
The budget also reflects impressive tax collection gains, including real property from $24.3 million to $130 million, and value-added tax from $112 million to $947.5 million. Tourism arrivals were up to 6.6 million up to March, and major progress was made on the ongoing debt-to-GDP management plan.
At the end of March 2023, the end of the third quarter of the current fiscal year, the debt stock equaled 83.5% of GDP, which represents a 4.4% decline from the end of June 2022. Now we will not mention where we bought it from, because you will say that's controversial. But in June 2021, it was over 100. Our debt, the GDP ratio was over 100, man. Unsustainable.
Meantime, the budget also highlighted the government's unease with the effects of the Hawkesbury Creek Agreement on the city of Freeport. Prime Minister Davis vowing to address it imminently.
The governance model of the Grand Bahama Port Authority must change. The government of the Bahamas has serious concerns regarding the Port Authority and its related companies with the terms and conditions of the Hawkesbury Creek Act and the subsequent amendments. Previous administrations have made efforts to tackle the situation, but the issue is clearly systemic and fundamental. We believe, Madam Speaker, the time has come for decisive action. In due course, we will make a separate detailed announcement, and it may be during the course of the debate.
In the meantime, job creation in the second city is also being addressed, all while the government maintains lucrative union benefit packages.
In this budget, we have allocated $4.7 million to continue an employment program in Grand Bahama. We have also provided for salary increases outlined in multiple public sector agreements, benefiting police officers, defense officers, prison officers, social workers, and others. We are proud that we have ended years of uncertainty and disquiet within the labor movement by completing 18 union agreements. And we have signed a 3-year agreement to run with most of these unions to run from July 2022 to June allowances and salary scales through a $40 million industrial union agreement.
The budget also includes the introduction of a school breakfast program and special feeding program, which will fund nonprofit feeding centers. As the government prepares to expound on its plans for the year ahead in the budget debate next week, Prime Minister Davis has foreshadowed the goal of presenting a balanced budget by fiscal year 2024-2025. Keeping you in the know, this is OPM Press Now.
Protection of our borders is one of the key initiatives laid out in the Budget 2023, from a new line item to deal with immigration to enhancing the administration of justice. This budget focuses on security.
This budget also provides funding for a new Shantytown task force. This is a new line item of expenditure to support the demolition of illegal and unregulated communities. In order to better serve those involved in the administration of justice, the premises and facilities of the courts will be renovated and a new judicial complex built. We will continue to invest in technology such as CCTV and body cams for the Royal Bahamas Police Force, as well as acquire additional vehicles and hire more new staff.
As security is ramped up, there's also a focus to progress the country's investment in renewables.
We have allocated $22 million for the adoption of solar technologies on sites in Mequona, Inagua, Crooked Island, Acklins, and Long Key. We are already in negotiations to reduce the carbon footprint of BPL and make electricity more affordable. We are further negotiating a $20 million facility, a solar facility, to encourage the adoption of green technology among small and medium businesses.
Home ownership is a dream for many Bahamians, and the Budget 2023 is designed to ensure that it's a dream that can be realized.
To address the limited supply of houses, concessions for housing projects have been expanded to non-government entities for projects with a maximum value of $300,000 in construction costs per unit. Moreover, the government has made investments in a rent-to-own program. This budget includes funding to accelerate these efforts.
Another cutting-edge new initiative falls under the umbrella of health and wellness. In a first for the Bahamas, an organ transplant program is set to be developed.
In a first for the Bahamas, we will be supporting the creation of the first ever national organs transplant program. I trust that this will become a life-saving benefit to many who depend on such generous donations for their survival.
Overall, Budget 2023 is a budget for security and progress. Keeping you in the know, this is OPM Press Now.
The Office of the Prime Minister's weekly press conference keeps Bahamians in the know. Each week, we also feature a new Bahamian food business.
Many of these businesses were started during the pandemic, and they really highlight Bahamian resilience and ingenuity. Today, we have
Kathy's Bakery,
Nutty Bavarian Bahamas,
proud owner of Sensational Goodies Pastries.
Get your small business featured in the weekly OPM press conference and share your dream with the country.
The Office of the Prime Minister Press Office is the primary liaison between the Fourth Estate and the Office of the Prime Minister and Cabinet.
Every day, we're working to build a more inclusive economy and a stronger, safer country.
Hear all of the latest developments as the Davis administration carries out the broad mandate of progress and change. Our live weekly press briefings provide full access to current newsmakers on the most topical issues of the day. We facilitate prompt responses from cabinet ministers on the latest reports and get answers on the issues that matter to you.
Will any penalties be levied against this?
OPM Press Now, keeping you in the know.
Good morning and welcome to the Office of the Prime Minister's weekly press briefing. It is a pleasure to welcome you, whether you're joining us in the gallery or you're joining us online. We have an exciting briefing planned for you today. I know I say Clint Watson, who is going to let you know what our exciting lineup is today. Clint?
Thank you, Julia, and good morning to all of you, and welcome to another week where we give you an update on what's happening. I've alluded to, this is budget week. We are excited as an administration to present to you the 2023 budget. Today we're going to talk more about that with our minister responsible for economic affairs. We also have the financial secretary here. And so any questions you may have coming out of that, or to address any concerns or anything, talk a little bit more about that, the meat and potatoes of it ahead of the debate. They will handle that for us. We also have the Minister of Agriculture and Marine Resources, and of course, responsible for local government. He's going to come and give an update as well. Actually, we'll start with him and then go into all the financial stuff so you can get your questions done. And then, of course, our food business of the week, Sugarloaf, Gifting, and Teas. If you could detox after all that stuff you had last week. So we're excited to have them with us in our press briefing this morning, and then we'll take your questions there. So let's get right to it. We begin with the Minister of Agriculture, Marine Resources, and these are a lot of long titles, and local government, Clay Sweeting. It's like a Ministry of Education and the rest of that, yeah.
Thank you, Clint. Good morning. I would first like to take this opportunity to thank the Office of the Prime Minister for giving me this opportunity to communicate to the media and to the country a progress report on the ongoing projects within my ministry. I would also like to recognize the Minister of Economic Affairs, Minister Alcides, as well as Financial Secretary Simon Wilson, who plays an intricate role in ensuring that we get the money to do what we need to do at my ministry. But at my ministry, we are working assiduously hard to complete a number of beneficial projects. Simultaneously, we have achieved tremendous success, and I am happy to share some of that with you this morning. I would also like to note that this morning is just a brief summary on our accomplishments on the way forward in regards to food security, and of course I will be able to elaborate more during my budget communication next week. I would also like to congratulate the Honorable Prime Minister for delivering a significant budget yesterday that is not only fiscally prudent, but provides a budgetary focus on building security and progress for the Bahamian people, inclusive of food security. The Cultivation Center. The Cultivation Center, being constructed at the Gladstone Road Agricultural Center, is currently about 90% complete. This 12,000 square foot building will house food processing kitchens, a produce exchange, office space, and will be a general resource for food production in the Bahamas. We have also acquired the building to construct a cultivation center in Hatchet Bay, Eleuthera, and we expect that this cultivation center at GRAC will be completed by the end of the month, and in the summer, this summer we'll be able to break ground on the one in Eleuthera. Currently at GRAC, we continue to receive animals to distribute farmers throughout the Bahamas. Earlier this year, we received 260 sheep and goat for distribution, and to also build capacity at the Gladstone Road Agricultural Center. Our layer program, as we look at this holistic approach on the golden yoke and what we're doing at BAMC, our layer program has continued. We received more than 4,000 chicks in the past few weeks that we are continuing to distribute to farmers across the Bahamas. We continue to increase our focus on farmers and ensuring that they have the tools and access for much needed inputs to help grow their farms. As we move on to speak about the Golden Yoke project, which a lot of persons continue to ask me about, I'd like to give a brief update. And since breaking ground in late February, the team at BAIC have been anticipating the arrival of the new feed mill, which should arrive in about 6 to 8 weeks. And this will be installed at the site at GRAC. The government of the Bahamas has approved the investment of more than $15 million towards the project, and we will also see the construction of 6 grow houses in New Providence, 38 in the Family Islands. Currently, we have completed the renderings for the new feed mill building, and we are finalizing with the quantity surveyor as we speak to move ahead to get the facility built. So when the feed mill arrives in country, we can install it right away as we continue to complete and move forward with the Golden Yoke project. One thing I would like to say is that we are happy with the response from farmers who are eagerly looking to work along with us in the Golden Yoke program. And this project, which will be carried out on 12 family islands, and not just New Providence, which would include Grand Bahama, Abaco, Bimini, Barry Islands, Andros, Eleuthera, Exuma, Cat Island, San Salvador, Long Island, Ragged Island, and Inagua. And the importance of this project is that it's made in the Bahamas by Bahamians. And it will also facilitate job creation with 90 direct jobs and 51 of them being in the family islands. And as we continue to look at this approach, we also have the BAMC Egg Academy, at which we introduced some time ago, where we have 3,800 birds that are housed in an enriched cage system. And these birds will complement our egg production program, and it's expected to produce an estimated 1 million eggs annually. Additionally, there will be free-range chickens that will also produce eggs. BAMC is working diligently to launch greenhouse parks as well in several islands, which will be able to produce healthy leafy greens year-round, even under extreme weather conditions. The construction of these greenhouses has already started. One is almost completed in Eleuthera, and we will continue to roll these out throughout the family islands in the upcoming budgetary cycle. BAMC will also be able to provide training for farmers wishing to use new technologies for more efficient farming. BAMC is succeeding in attracting younger minds that will expand the field of agriculture in our country. In fact, BAMC held its first in-person graduation since the pandemic, where Bahamians graduated with Associate of Science degrees in agriculture, marine science, agribusiness, aquaculture, environmental science, and business management, as well as applied science degrees in general agriculture and animal science. When we speak about innovation and farming, that we've spoken about a lot since I became minister. Earlier this year, we completed the agreement to purchase 2 vertical farming containers earmarked for Eleuthera and Abaco. Both sites are being prepared to house the containers, and these initiatives should be completed by the end of the summer. A vertical farming, which allows for non-traditional farming, allows Bahamians to farm in environments that safeguard against climate challenges and natural elements. Vertical farming promotes the implementation of technology and innovation, and a properly managed facility could create a growing environment where a farmer can almost guarantee the number of crops will be harvested on a weekly basis, which puts him or her in a position, and I said him or her, in a position to negotiate with any lending facility to capitalize on favorable returns. And this type of farming, investment in farming, is what is needed to attract young entrepreneurs and encourage lending facilities to allow for investment in farming. We also are interested in horizontal farming, which is similar to vertical farming, but this technology allows for farming to thrive when electricity is off or they have utility challenges. We are currently working with an international company to purchase a model for sustainable farming for BAMC, which we hope to replicate and persons can view and possibly look at purchasing their own to roll out throughout the family islands. As we move on to local government, good news has been proclaimed from the budget communication yesterday. In the past 13 years, successive governments have decreased the budgets for local government councils' operational expenses. I'm pleased to announce that this administration, Davis administration, has allocated an increase of 10% for local government councils throughout the family islands, which is the first time in a long time, and I'm sure family islands appreciate the investment that this government is putting in their communities. Junior local government program. The department is reestablishing its junior local government program, and this program is designed to create local councils within schools on the family islands, and each school that is a part of the program. We are still assessing the recommendations of the local government committee that was presented to the ministry last year, and these recommendations will assist the government to decide the way forward for local government and the family islands, and will hopefully drastically improve its functions. As we move on to fishing regulations, we're also looking to enhance our fishing regulations to increase protection for the sector. We have had the necessary consultations with stakeholders in the industry as we engage fishermen on all the islands throughout the country last year. DMR has sent those recommendations on to the Attorney General's office for review, which will then be sent back to be looked at by the Fishermen Stakeholders Forum and the Council. Sailing as a national sport. As many as you know, sailing was officially announced as a national sport of the Bahamas. And now that it is, the ministry intends to place more emphasis on the importance of regattas. The Department of Local Government will be intimately involved in the planning of regattas throughout the Family Islands, and regattas will receive more financial support from the ministry. In the upcoming budgetary cycle, we have also included a new allocation to assist in the developing of sailing as a national sport. We expect to work along with the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture, sailing associations, sailors, and other public and private partners to help develop the sport. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, the Ministry of Agriculture, Marine Resources, and Family Island Affairs has its hands full with projects that are geared at increasing the country's food security and providing economic opportunities for Bahamians. Thank you. Any take questions?
What's the production level for all the anticipated production levels for the egg? I mean, like, how many eggs are we looking to produce once this is completed?
So currently we produce 700,000 eggs per year. Once the full program is completed, we're looking at 28 million. That could continue as we invest more. So 28 million eggs nationally per year, and New Providence would be roughly around 18 million, and the rest on the Family Islands.
10% increase for local government
Councils.
Mm-hmm. Can you, I guess, explain a bit about how that will be used or distributed? I guess I know there are some concerns for the different areas or any specific areas that will go to specifically help.
So this and the Prime Minister's vision, this is straight across the board. So all councils will receive this budgetary increase. And what's so important for this is that 13 years ago they were receiving the same allocation. We have inflation now that we didn't have back then. I mean, prices of everything has increased, and they've been operating off the same budget. So really, for the most part, local councils in the Family Islands has only been able to provide recurrent budget expenditures, which hasn't been able to help to mold communities and invest in where they live. So this allocation will help them to have hopefully some capital projects and other things that they wanted to do, but wasn't able to do because of funding. So this allocation is actually sent to the councils themselves, and the councils manage the funding in each community on how best they feel it should fit the needs of what they're trying to do.
Question. I know that some local government or councils are responsible for the upkeep of fire engines. This has been donated to them on some islands, and I know that's been a concern. Will this allocation be helping the local government with that upkeep as well? They're looking at it issue with fire engines.
So I think this has been a national problem for some time. And for the most part, in Family Islands, they work along with nonprofit organizations in order to help. For example, in Lutheran Seat, which is nonprofit, helps to work along with local government and community members to do that. This funding isn't stipulated by the ministry on how to spend it, right? Because each community is different, each one has different needs. So it would be up to the council on how they feel that this extra funding would fit the needs of their community and help to expand whatever they're trying to do.
There has been talk about establishing local government here in the province. Is there any serious dialogue taking place?
Well, I said about a year ago that for me, local government in the Family Islands needs a lot of attention. We're trying to ensure that the councils there and the legislation is in fact something that is viable, something that is progressive, and that is able to fit the needs of the communities. So what we've done is over the past year, we assembled a 19-member team. They traveled throughout the Family Islands. They got the information they needed to help us to look at how we can empower them, that they're able to fit the needs of the community. The draft legislation is at the AG's office currently to see how best we can do that. So in this increase in local government subvention, there's another way where we can empower local councils. For me, I think that we have to ensure that if we bring it to Metropolis, that it is one that is molded and fit, that is going to work. So we have to ensure that the Family Islands, we've done the proper research, that is working properly before we look into the project. Anil? Thank you.
Thank you, Minister, for that update. And now, as we said, this week has been Budget Week, as we prepare for the debate to commence in the House of Assembly next week, Wednesday. Should run for about 2 weeks before going to the Senate and then hopefully being passed. The minister responsible for Economic Affairs, Senator Michael Alcides, is here to talk more about that, along with Financial Secretary Samuel Wilson, and to take your questions, any clarification you may need, any further explanation you may need. They're here to do all of that, so we invite them to come now, Minister, and take it from this point.
Thank you very much, Mr. Watson. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, colleague Minister Clay Sweeting, Financial Secretary, members of the press, members of the public watching. Thank you very much once again. And I just want to begin by thanking and congratulating the Prime Minister on an excellent presentation yesterday as he presented the budget communication. And I also want to publicly thank the staff of the Ministry of Finance and as well staff of all of the ministries who contributed to having having the budget finalized in May. But this process begins at the very beginning of the year with the staff from the various ministries providing information and input and having meetings and feedback so that we can arrive at what we present to the public. So I just want to thank all of the staff, the hard-working budget staff at the Ministry of Finance, who always go above and beyond. The important thing now is execution. And I would just like to take a step back. I'll just give a sort of broad overview of the budget, and I think we've all had an opportunity to look at it and look at the communication, and so you might have some questions ready. But speaking of philosophy and strategy, and then the FS can fill in on some of the numbers if you so like. But you'd recall that back in 2021, on coming to office, the administration, having inherited a significant fiscal crisis, set out a plan that consisted of 4 elements, a recovery plan, 4 elements. Growth in the economy, so promoting economic growth, improving revenue administration, that is doing a better job of collecting the taxes that are due and outstanding, expenditure control, controlling your spending, and discovering new sources of revenue. And this is the second budget that the Prime Minister has presented, and in both cases, the objectives set have been met and exceeded in terms of the fiscal performance. And so you will see that the Prime Minister announced yesterday that we will achieve, we have 1 month left in the fiscal year, we will achieve, and in all likelihood surpass our budget targets in terms of deficit. It is a multi-year adjustment, getting the fiscal house in order, and as the Prime Minister said yesterday, in June 2021, the debt to GDP ratio exceeded 100%, and now it's in the low 80s. Our goal is to get it back to 50%, in the region of 50% by 2031. And so we are on track, but there is a lot of work left to be done so that we can meet our targets. I want to say 2 things in terms of spending, because I know as the budget commences and the immediate aftermath of the immediate reaction to the budget is always an ongoing, some allegation or some statement that the government is not controlling its spending. But if you look at this budget, this upcoming budget, next year We anticipate spending to increase over this year's level by $12 million. So government spending is budgeted to increase by $12 million. And let me put that in some context for you. Government spending in this upcoming budget, in this fiscal year, is anticipated to be $3.074 billion. Next year, $3.085 billion. Right? An increase of around $12 million. That is less than 1/2 of 1% increase. It's actually 0.4% increase. Less than half of 1%. If you look at it, if you adjust it for inflation, it's actually a cut in spending. So I just want you to keep that in mind when you hear people talk about runaway spending and extravagant spending. Spending in this budget is anticipated, is budgeted to increase by less than 1/2 of 1%. The Prime Minister stated yesterday, about no new taxes. There are anticipated some increases in some fees, mostly targeted at non-Bahamians. So you will see we are proposing an increase in the departure tax, and increases in immigration fees, and some other areas where the government provides a service where the fees have been the same in some cases for as long as 50 years. So for example, you go and make an application to have some service at the government, it costs you $10, but in order to provide that service, it might cost the government $30 to provide it. And so in those cases, there's an attempt to just cover the cost of providing services. But by and large, well, not by and large, definitely no broad-based increase in terms of customs duty and VAT. So again, congratulations to the Prime Minister for delivering a budget that is on track, on target, will meet the objectives, and doing so in conformity with the strategy as I outlined, promoting economic growth, improving revenue administration, and containing expenditure, and finding new sources of revenue. We expect, as the Prime Minister said, to see all of his efforts in terms of promoting the carbon exchange and monetizing our carbon assets to begin bearing some fruit as early as the first quarter of next year. The other point I just wanted to touch on is this whole issue of aggressive tax collection. As the Prime Minister said, the revenue agencies are doing their jobs in collecting what is due and outstanding. We stand ready for those who need to have a structure, payment plan, or forgiveness or whatever. We stand ready to work with them in that area. But our efforts are aimed at those who are chronic delinquents and who have really demonstrated no willingness, even though they don't have the ability, no willingness to pay. And so we will see our enforcement efforts continue, and they have been bearing fruit. Next year, we project a budget deficit less than 1%. And just to put that into context, 2 years ago, our budget deficit was over 13%. And so a budget deficit of less than 1% next year, meaning that we anticipate the year following, 2024, 2025, to at least have a balanced budget. And ladies and gentlemen, that will be a significant achievement coming out of the significant financial crisis that we took on when we came in as an administration. Why is this important? Because the government has to set the foundation for a stable economy. What is happening is our budget, the budget communication, is being consumed not only by Bahamians, but it's being read and digested not only by Bahamians, by the international community, by potential investors, by financial institutions, etc. And it is and of course the local business community. And it's important for them to see that the finances are being managed in a prudent manner, that the targets set by the government, when they were set last year, there was a chorus coming from particularly the opposition about the targets being too aggressive and we won't meet them. I think we've once again proven them alarmist and wrong. And so, we just encourage them to look at the results but it sends a message that the economy is doing extremely, and the set target is met, in most cases exceeded the target, and have a plan, a multi-year plan, and so far, I can say so far so good, but we need to remain vigilant. As I was saying, it's important to demonstrate to the business community that you have a stable economy that is growing, that you're managing your finances, and that you're receiving the results. It's very, very important as well because, an unstable economy or running large deficits leads to other negative consequences and increases your cost of borrowing. So we are very, very encouraged by the performance. We are confident in the targets that we've set for next year and the year after, but of course, we have to remain cautiously optimistic because, again, natural disaster, pandemic, geopolitics, anything can have a negative impact on our economy. Finally, before I ask the FS to add what you would like to add, is that the budget to let you know that the next step, the budget debate commences on the 7th, which is Wednesday coming. The Prime Minister will lead it off. He will lead off the debate. He'll be seconded by the very capable Minister for Agriculture, Fisheries and Local Marine Resources and Local Government and Family Island Affairs. And what happens then is this is at the point where ministers will elaborate on issues as they touch their ministries. So they will go into more detail on what is contained in the budget. They will elaborate on that. And the debate goes on for approximately 2 weeks in the House. So they anticipate that they will be finished in the House by the 21st, 22nd of June. Then comes to the Senate, and we expect to have it for about 2 days maximum. And so we pass it, and it comes into effect July 1st. Fiscal year July 1st to 30th. And so we expect a very, as usual, spirited debate. And I think members of the public can look forward to being educated by the various ministers and other members of the government on what has been going on and what is to come this year. There were some very, very exciting initiatives announced by the Prime Minister in the budget, and the various ministers will have an opportunity to elaborate on this. I'll just now invite the Financial Secretary to come and just do once again a broad, high-level summary on the numbers. It was done yesterday, but when you have good news, it's always good to repeat it. So thank you once again for your attention, and I'll be available for questions when the FS has concluded.
Good morning. Thank you, Minister, for the introduction, and good morning, everybody. So I think in terms of the numbers, the most important number really is that the projected deficit for this fiscal year is 4.3. We and I project that deficit to be 3.8 at the end of the fiscal year. So we have overperformed in target. For next year, we project a deficit of 0.9. In the fiscal charge report, we pay 0.7, but because of increase in global interest rates, we landed at 0.9. Less than 1%, and we are well positioned to next year, 24.5 fiscal year, to achieve the fiscal focus for the first time in the Bahamas. So I think we're well positioned with that. So those are, in my mind, the key numbers that we focus on. Performance has been strong, and we are on target on the initial plan, the fiscal charge report 2022. Next year, we'll have to that charge report, people in the TFM market 2024 on July 1st of this year. And so I think those are the key things to bear in mind. And thank you, and let's get any questions to Minister.
Thank you, FS. So I'll just take any questions you may have. I know you an opportunity to digest.
Good morning. We'll see if you could give more of a breakdown on the revenue and where it's really coming from, what's changed versus last budget cycle.
Okay. I'll let the FS do that. I mean, the bulk of it is VAT, but it's broken down into something like property tax, etc. But the FS might be able to tell you.
So the big driver for revenue is being improved performance in consumption taxes, obviously customs duties, excise taxes, as well as improved performance in property taxes in certain counties. VAT is performing very well. Property tax is performing, and we also have what we call the condo hotel tax, which is now starting to get a November scheme. That was introduced last year. The places that hope use in the rental scheme, where they were exempt from any other tax, property tax. You have to make sure that you know it, and you have to pay I guess an equalized tax. So those were good drivers for that. So obviously it's a record, but I think to put it in the right context, the projection of last year, this current year, we are growing around 12% in terms of revenue year over year. Next year we're projecting roughly around 10% in terms of revenue year over year. So actually, the revenue performance of next year, the current budget, we look at the historic trends of last year, is not unusual. It's probably within the range of achievement. So we didn't budget for surprises. So what we've seen, for example, is that APC has been growing paying dividends, and that was nice. Over the last 2 years, APC has paid $50 million in dividends, which is welcome. So that's new, and that is expected to continue for the foreseeable future. The government is doing a lot of commentary that's filling advertising. What we've seen is that because of the different strategies and so forth, the amount of the output filling advertising has dropped about $37 million, which is nice. That's about a punch of revenue. Less money going filling advertising, that's nice. So those are the things that we do. BTC, we own 29% of BTC. So we get dividends from Liberty Global, from the company. And last year was the first year in 5 years that we received dividends. And we have dividends this year, so the fiscal year. And they have given us an indication that all things remain the same, that we can expect further dividends going forward.
Are you able to get us to say exactly what is outstanding in monthly tax that will be fully books that we can figure
Yeah, for the real property tax, as of report dated 18th of May this year, $822 million in the real property tax, and that's broken down among local properties, what we call owner-occupied homes, so living homes, and then there's another category for rental, and then there's another category for foreign homes, which is that is under $200 million. So when you say we have 2 and 4, I want to point again because some people, for political reasons, get misleading. The ceiling for real property tax, if your house is valued $300,000 or less, and you live in a real property tax, pay on the difference, less than 1%. So when you talk most behemoths and so on, behemoths and so in the Family Island collectively don't pay the kind of tax, they're exempt from property tax in the Family Island. So when we talk about our aggressive approach, by and large, we're talking about the foreign-owned element and the commercial element. Commercial meaning the businesses running who are renting island property as a business. So this is not, the tax is always going after the means to take the tax and take your land. Far from it. And as Prime Minister said yesterday, the residents working every day to find themselves to figure out the ways that they can look at it, including writing off the penalty, making adjustments, providing relief or, elderly and people who have changed circumstances. So when we talk about being aggressive, we're talking about, commercial enterprises and particularly foreign-owned properties. And just like to appeal to those lawyers and real estate agents who represent foreign property owners who are delinquent, come forward and let's see how we can look at these delinquencies. So the number is big. So we have to be aggressive in cases where everything else has failed. But I just want to dispel that mischief that somehow the property tax authorities are hounding the Haymans out of it. Nothing could be further from the truth. By and large, that is it. And there's some also business license. There are rare. I couldn't give a figure off the top of my head of that. But by and large, that would be the major area. And in terms of business license, sometimes you see that there's a customs content master on the other.
The government is improving and moving people out of their homes. But moving forward, and you also mentioned that you're not just interested in some people just aren't paying even though they could pay. So, but moving forward, if that remains the case, will government take their businesses? No. Foreigners included.
As I said, there's 230 million in foreign property tax already. So, and then there's another 200 million or so in commercial. We don't have commercial government businesses, right? Of course, at the end of the day, and that is where our target is, right? We're working with people, and like I said, most people don't even get a bill. Most people don't pay it. Most people pay like zero, right? And so we're targeting that area. We want to be aggressive, but this whole issue when I heard it raised about the government is going to tell you land. But don't pay property tax on this land. All right? They don't pay it in the Family Island. They don't pay it in the property in the Family Island. So the whole issue is our enforcement being mostly a commercial area and foreign property tax. And I am not. It will never be our intent to be a government that harms people out of the land. Right? Won't happen under this administration. Because, as I said, even the proportion of residential, or the amount that is owned by people who live in their homes is the smallest amount. The bulk is commercial property and foreign property.
In the propensity for natural disasters to unwind the budget, where are we in terms of protection? What do we have in terms of protection, insurance?
We have the Caribbean catastrophic risk insurance. There's a history with that. Then, since over the years, in recent years, there's been a restructuring of the policy, so now we have a better chance of getting a payout. Previous years, we paid religiously, we get hit by disasters and wouldn't qualify. And then, you build for resilience. So the government is continuing to program sea walls and infrastructure. You're looking at, for example, the subject now is the Grand Bahama Airport. And so in those discussions, when you're talking about rebuilding, you're talking about rebuilding for resilience. How do you losing flat? You get so much flooding, how do you rebuild to stand up? So So that is what you do, and then there's of course, the best sort of preparation is to make sure that the government itself, that their finances are in a position so that if you are hit, you are in a position to respond. And so that is why what we're doing is so important in terms of bringing on the making sure that our revenue collectors keeping the costs down, so when we generate the disaster, we need to move quickly, and we can either access money from financial institutions at a reasonable rate, or we are able to get them to our resources. And the other thing is we do have still the standby facilities with the IDB, $100 million, so in the event we can access that money quickly for cleanup and restoration immediately. So, and there are some things in place, and we pray that we have a mild season.
There's some people say, the Prime Minister said there would be no taxes, no tax rises, yet there's an argument that the property taxes did increase in the fees. And like you said, mostly it's but there's one aspect that is a budget fee. I think it's every passenger for above 6 years, 18 months, other than
the air departure, it is accurate. The air departure tax does not increase. $28, it remains at $28. So that's if you're catching a flight. When you're catching a flight out of the country, it doesn't increase. What we're proposing is an increase in the cruise departure tax. All right. I think 99.99% of cruise passengers leaving the country are likely to not be in. So it doesn't touch it. Well, did he say there's no tax rises, or did he say there's no tax rises on Bahamian? All right, we're splitting hairs here. I think if I tell you 99.9%, Bahamian people are concerned, I believe, I'm concerned about tax rises on me. All right? And so if you raise the departure tax on cruise ships, I don't think you'll get an argument from anybody, because if you survey 100 Bahamians, 99% will tell you we don't get enough from them. Anyhow, they're polluting our waters, they're making a lot of money, and we don't get anything. So I don't think you'll get an argument. So if someone wants to split an hair on that, you're welcome to it. The main point is this. We inherited an economy that was halfway down the cliff. I mean, not just on the cliff, going over the cliff. In crisis, we spent a lot of time, myself, the financial secretary, prime minister, talking to investors, trying to talk to financial institutions to convince them that the Bahamas was really concerned. We laid out a plan. Our plan has gone through. We are on the verge of less than 1% deficit next year. Balanced budget, we're forecasting we are following. And so we believe our plan is working. As I said, there are in some cases, there are some fees for service that have been the same for 50 years. So instead of charging $10 for service, maybe now it's gone to $20. Someone might argue, okay, well, that's an increase, and they don't see the distinction between a fee for service and a tax. What we're saying is, those are different, those are minimal. By and large, the budget is performing according to plan, and even exceeding plan. And those issues, I don't think we will get much complaints with that. Maybe from the opposition who are reaching for something to have some You'll see it coming. The matter, I assure you, will be addressed in the future. Right? NIB technically is not incorporated in the budget, so you wouldn't see a line item of any contribution to NIB in the budget. But it is a matter of concern, and it's on the minds of the Bahamian Prime Minister to address it. Wednesday, the 7th of June.
The Prime Minister said this is an excellent thing about businesses, no incentives, no relief. And we've seen that the government is growing increasingly aggressive against businesses. How would you relate someone if that?
I wouldn't say they're going aggressive against businesses, the government, just like businesses, the government needs revenue to operate. And so the government, where there is legitimate revenue that is outstanding owed to the government is duty bound to collect it, not for Michael Alcides, not for Philip Burgess, but for the Bahamian people. That's our job. And so it's not against businesses. You know, you also have, the government has to be an advocate for the public. And so on Monday, we'll open a new premises for our Consumer Affairs Unit. Because the government has to be an advocate and make sure the consumer is protected as well. So it's not being against it, it's just trying to make sure that, for example, in the area of taxes, where taxes are due, that they're collected. In the area of services, where services are being delivered to the public can be assured of value for money and good service. And so that's the role of government. I don't think it should be an adversarial relationship, but you know, the government has its role to play. We invest a lot of resources in setting in place the environment for businesses to succeed. And I think we looked at partnership last Monday. I think the Prime Minister sat down with a group of small businesses and had a very, very open and frank discussion on matters affecting them, what the government can do, and the Prime Minister listened and then he asked them. And so I think the business community should look forward to it, not in an adversarial way, but as truly as partners. We are in deep discussion. I think we are near a conclusion, for example, bringing some relief to the village road businesses who would address this unit. So not an adversarial, not action against business. I wouldn't categorize it as that. It's just the government has to do the food and resources, which are scarce. Because you got to spread them out. Yes, sir. My time, Mr. Watson. Yeah. Hold on. Don't say there's no action. I said from this podium last week that in the last year we gave $6 million in tax relief, tax rebates, cash money, $5.5 million in cash, and $500,000 in forgiveness of taxes to petroleum retailers. So to say that the government has done nothing, it's beyond wrong. All right. So just that point. We have given cash money, rebates. All right. So what we saying to the retailers, and I mean, I'll say it one more time. It's not the intention of the government to do anything that would lead to a direct increase in the price at the pumps for the public. All right? I saw in the paper yesterday, they said they want a 30-cent increase. You know what 30-cent increase means? That means gas goes up to you by 30 cents a gallon, not to Michael Alcides. It goes up to the 397,000 of us. So what we continue to do, our discussions with them is, yes, we understand you have some private business relationships that are onerous to you. You're paying a lot of rent to your landlord. The landlord is taking some percentage off the top of all your sales. You're in a bad situation. And that is why we gave the rebate, right? We even asked them, okay, when we give you this rebate, can we see a reduction in the price? Well, that didn't happen for whatever reason. What I'm saying is, it's not correct to say we have done nothing. Our view is, you don't want to do anything that would increase the price of gas at the pump. For you, the public, businesses, the bus drivers, the fishermen, everybody, it's counterproductive. So what we continue to do is let's talk and see how we can work out a solution. There is this point that continues to be raised, and I'll finish with this because I think we must get the food thing on. I'll be around. Well, why doesn't the government reduce its cut, so to speak? And there's even been an accusation that the government gets more, the government is benefiting from the high prices, which again, nothing could be further from the truth. And I answer it this way again. The government gets its revenue with which it provides services to the public from revenue, from taxes, and borrowing. You cut the revenue, you have to borrow the money. Our debt goes up. People are very concerned about our debt. So what we say to the retailers is, we sat down, we listened, we provided that relief. It is not in our contemplation to grant a margin increase, that will lead to an increase in the price at the pump for the public. It means the price of gas goes up for everybody. We're not doing that, okay? As things evolve, time goes on, we see some other developments in the market, perhaps there'll be an opportunity to do something that does not lead directly to an increase in the price at the pump. We think that's a perfectly reasonable position, and that's our position. We continue to work with them, but, to talk about the 30 cents increase, no.
So is there like a middle ground anywhere?
You heard what I said about the tax?
So, Mr. Ortiz, what do you make of the threats that you're hopeful that you will garner from the government return to residents?
Sorry, you're reading a text. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, what do you make of their threats saying
Who's
that
I don't want to go on. I don't want to address any threats. I think I said enough. I think I spoke about 5 minutes on the matter.
Thank you, Minister.
All right? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. We're out of the hours. I'm going to quickly get our vendors in. We're at the top of the hour. And our vendor this morning is Sugarloaf Gifting and Teas. And so it's always an exciting time to have them. I'm going to invite Nicolette Elgin to come and tell us a little about Sugarloaf. And obviously we get to sample some good tea this morning. Welcome.
Thank you, Clint. Good morning, government officials, the press, and those on live stream. As Mr. Watson has already introduced me, my name is Nicolette Eldon of Sugarloaf Gifting and Teas. My daughter is Alicia Eldon, and she's the other half of the business. I wish to introduce you to our brand, my dad bringing home crates of pineapples, which were devoured in days. It has always been important to me to pay homage to my beautiful island. So in brainstorming a name for the business, it was a no-brainer to use the name of the type of pineapples grown in Eleuthera that were such an integral part of both me and my daughter's childhood. But we are more than just a name. My daughter and I worked together to bring Sugarloaf to life. We're a small business that initially began curating gifts, and we expanded our offering by carrying Tantalize Your Taste Buds in a few. We pride ourselves on being environmentally friendly, and because of that, all of our packaging is biodegradable, and our teas can be used as compost. In addition to this, we are very proud of our culture, and the names and flavors of our tea blends reflect that, such as Diving Conch, For the Gas, For the Flu, and other names. While our gift boxes are an important part of our business, they must be customized for the recipient and are made up mostly of locally sourced goods from other small businesses.
Tell us how they can get in touch with you.
Thank you. On social media, our handle is, on Instagram is sugarloaf_gifting, and on Facebook, Sugarloaf Gifting. Our phone number is 525-1609. Thank you for having us.
Our pleasure, and we're so excited that we can have tea time today.
Yes, tea time.
If you have any other questions, you know to reach us here at the Prime Minister's Press Office. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to taking any of your questions or concerns from us. Good afternoon, everyone.